making mistakes. Making mistakes. Now you're thinking, oh great, there's going to be discussions on the most common English mistakes. And yeah, I really need to correct my English mistakes. No, this is not what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing something which I think is more useful. And that is, we're going to introduce and discuss expressions on making mistakes. So, how we talk about making mistakes in English. And I think this is more useful because, listen, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes in English and outside of English. And this is why we have so much language to describe when you make a mistake. And this is true for every language, of course, not just English. But here we're going to be talking about maybe 9 or 10 expressions to describe different situations that we make mistakes in. So, if you're ready, let's introduce the first expression, which is to mess up. To mess up, or to mess something up. This is a phrasal verb, of course, because we have verb and preposition. So we know it's a phrasal verb, and we love those phrasal verbs. To mess up means that you make a mistake, of course, and you waste an opportunity. It's when you have a good opportunity that you want to use in the best way, but you mess it up. You mess it up and you waste the opportunity because of a mistake that you make. You can say, I messed it up, whatever it is, the situation, the opportunity, or simply, I messed up. I messed up, meaning I made a mistake and I don't have this brilliant opportunity anymore. I'll give you an example. Let's say you go on a date with someone. On a date means that you go out with someone that you like, you have an interest with, a boy or a girl or whoever. So you are on this date with this person and you go out for dinner. Now you've had dinner, great, it was delicious food, and now it's time to pay. Okay, the bill comes out and you need to pay. And you go for your wallet and you say, no, listen, I'll pay for this, don't worry about this. And you realize that you've forgotten your wallet. So it's a bit tricky now because you are quite embarrassed because now you have to ask this person to pay for you as well on the first date. And that's not the best thing to do. Of course, maybe they will pay, but they won't be very happy, probably. And maybe you'll never see them again. And in that case, you messed up. You messed it up because you had an opportunity to start a good relationship, maybe, or to have a second date at least. But this person didn't like what you did, that you forgot your wallet, so you messed up and no more date, no more likey person. Or let's say you go for a job interview. This is another example. You go for a job interview and maybe you go an hour late because you got confused and the interview is over. Okay, you missed your opportunity. You messed up again. You messed it up. Yeah, hi. I had an interview this morning at 9 and I think I forgot. Sorry. Hello? Hello? Oh, messed up again. So if a friend says, oh, how did the job interview go, by the way? Yeah, I messed it up. I forgot that it was at 9. I went at 10. So I messed it up. In both occasions, you made a mistake and you no longer have a good opportunity. You mess up something. Okay, so the next expression for today is very similar to mess up. It's to fuck up. And now this is basically the same as to mess up, when you waste a good opportunity with a mistake, but it's a bit more intense. Obviously, because when we use F word, the old, to fuck up, it's a bit more serious, or maybe we're more angry. We're more emotional when we talk about the opportunity or the mistake. Let's say again you have another date with a person, and this person comes to your house and you're going to cook them a beautiful meal, and you've also baked a nice, delicious chocolate cake for the occasion, so that you really impress this person with your baking skills. Now, you are so excited that you burn the cake. Guess what? I've prepared a beautiful chocolate cake. I think you'll really enjoy it. That looks quite burnt. I know. Yeah, I know. Fucked up again. Fucked up. I fucked it up. I fucked up the cake. I fucked the cake up. So you can put the object either between the verb and preposition or after. So I fucked up the cake, or I fucked the cake up. Or just generally, I fucked it up. I fucked it up. Or, like with to mess up, I fucked up. So, to mess up and to fuck up, very similar. Very, very similar. Just maybe a different tone that you would use with to fuck up. We have a third expression, which is to slip up. Loads of phrasal verbs today. To slip up. Now you're thinking, well, this is the same as to mess up and to fuck up. But no, this is a little bit different. It's not completely different, but it's used, to slip up, is used in more specific situations. So let's say that you have a series of good results. Good, bad. You slipped up. So it's after a series of good or positive, successful results, and then you make a mistake and you slip up in that way. I always think of a tennis player like Nadal, Rafa Nadal, the Spanish tennis player. Maybe he has, 15 games which were perfect, 15 victories, win, and then game number 16, maybe the semi-final, he slips up and he loses to Djokovic, let's say, probably. So you slip up when you have a number of good results interrupted by a bad negative result. And it's usually because of a mistake. Another example is if you go to a pub quiz. Pub quiz are these very, very popular quizzes in the UK where you go to a pub and there is a quiz that you do with friends and other people in the pub, and you have the quiz master. Anyway, you go to a pub quiz and there are many questions that you need to answer on general culture, on sport, music, art, whatever. And maybe your team is doing very well. You're getting all the answers correct. You get maybe 12 correct answers, and then on question number 13, you slip up. And the final question for £250. What is the capital of Azerbaijan? Is it A, Almaty, B, Baku, or C, Samarkanda? I think it's Samarkanda. Yeah. No. It's Baku. It's definitely not Almaty. I don't know. I think it's Samarkanda. No, guys, it's Baku. Trust me. No. I know this. This is definitely Samarkanda. It's definitely Samarkanda. I think it's Samarkanda, man. Guys, it's definitely Baku. Trust me on this. Trust me. Baku. I think it's Samarkanda. Yeah, it's Samarkanda. Fine. Samarkanda. And that is not the correct answer. Okay, the next expression is another phrasal verb, guys. I apologize. It's to mix up. To mix up, or to get something mixed up. To get something or someone mixed up. We'll do them both at the same time because they are the same. And again, this is a phrasal verb, as I mentioned, but it is very different from the previous ones. To mess up, to fuck up, to slip up, which have some kind of common theme to them. This one, to mix up, or to get something or someone mixed up, is a bit different. Basically, it means to confuse. When you have two things, usually, or maybe more than two things, usually two, but multiple things, and you think that this is, let's say this is A and this is B. But you get confused and you think, oh, this is B and this is A. I got them mixed up. I got A and B mixed up. Or I mixed A and B up. A good example for me is from my own childhood. I was coming back with my family from a holiday, and we were at the airport and we were collecting our suitcases. And my dad collected this suitcase, which was a normal blue suitcase. Anyway, we got it, we got back home, he opened it, and it was not our suitcase, for sure. Very different objects inside. And so, clearly what had happened is that at the airport, the suitcases got mixed up, or my dad mixed up the suitcases with another person. So, in fact, we managed to call a number that was on the suitcase, and another man replied, yes, I think you have my suitcase. Yes. Yes, they must have got mixed up. Yes, I know. It's a blue, absolutely. They're all the same, these suitcases. Yes. Well, thank you. I'm glad the mix-up is over now. And so that's how they solved the problem. But the problem was that they mixed up the suitcases, or the suitcases got mixed up because they were identical. They were exactly the same blue big suitcases and easily confused. And that's what happened. They got mixed up. And so we took away someone else's suitcase and another person took away our suitcase. Now, another way that you can mix up for me is, I always think of Samuel L. Jackson, the actor, famous actor. And he said in an interview that he often gets mixed up with Lawrence Fishburne, who was the guy from The Matrix. So he says, yeah, I mean, everybody mixes us up, or they get us mixed up because we're similar age, we have a similar style of acting, we're both black actors. And actually there's a very funny scene from a TV series called Extras by Ricky Gervais. And there's a very funny scene where this kind of mix-up takes place. So yeah, to mix up or to get things or people mixed up. When you confuse two people and you think A is B and B is A. The next expression is to make an error of judgment. To make an error of judgment. So to make an error is very similar to make a mistake. To make a mistake. And it's always to make, guys. Never do a mistake or an error. Okay, specifically though, to make an error of judgment has to do with decisions. And it has to do with your intellectual capacity. So to make an error of judgment is about decisions. And it's when you make a bad or poor decision that has negative consequences. It's when you make a mistake, because when you're making the decision, you think, this is the best thing, this is the right decision. But then over time, after a bit, you realize that the consequences of that decision are quite bad. So you look back and you think, yeah, that was probably an error of judgment. For me, the best example here is Brexit, guys. 52% of the population, in my opinion, made an error of judgment. And I think now people are starting to realize, because they thought, maybe didn't really think, that they were doing the best thing for the UK.
We want our sovereignty back. Yeah, we're British. So when we land in Europe, we want our sovereignty, 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 sovereignty. Oh, shut up.
To make an error of judgment, you have to be convinced of a decision when you make it. And then you realise, oh, actually, that was not a good decision. Another example for me, as I was saying, is Harry Potter. Are you thinking, what Harry Potter? What's that got to do with an error of judgment? Well, now, Harry Potter was published by Bloomsbury, which is a publishing house in London. J.K. Rowling, the famous author, actually tried, I think, 12 other publishing houses before Bloomsbury, but all these publishing houses said, no one's interested in this. I mean, who wants to read about a boy wizard and a school where you can learn magic? No one wants to hear this. This is a rubbish idea for a book. I'm never going to publish this. Leave. That was probably an error of judgment, I would say, because the book did quite well. So I'm sure those publishing houses are not really happy with that decision they made many, many years ago to turn away J.K. Rowling and her Harry Potter books. That was definitely an error of judgment. The next expression is to make a blunder. To make a blunder. We have make again, okay? Make a mistake, make an error of judgment, make a blunder. Blunder, what is this word? Maybe you've not heard of this word before. And I think it's a very interesting one and a very useful one. To make a blunder is to make a stupid or careless mistake. Careless is when you're not giving enough attention to what you are doing. When you're doing something in a distracted way and you're careless. So a blunder is a mistake that happens when you are careless, maybe a bit stupid. The consequences can be normal, not very important, or they can be very serious consequences. I like to think of sending an email to the wrong person. So there we go, that was a big blunder. Another blunder could be a police blunder. And we hear about these every now and then where the police arrest a person and they send that person to jail, maybe for like 10 years, and then they realize that that person was innocent and they arrested the wrong person. They made a massive blunder. So we have a police blunder, which is quite a common expression, I think, a police blunder. So a blunder is a very, very stupid, but in this case, bad and serious mistake that has bad consequences. And maybe they made that blunder because they weren't thorough enough. The police weren't thorough. Thorough means careful. When you go in depth into something. This is the evidence, yeah? Yeah, he did it. In jail, done. That's a police blunder, guys. Another type of blunder could be a brand blunder. This is very common, a brand blunder. A brand is like a company, like a famous company like Apple or Coca-Cola or Adidas or Adidas in some parts of the world. I specifically remember a brand blunder by Dolce & Gabbana, the fashion company, the Italian fashion company. And they had made this marketing advert, and in the video there was a Chinese girl trying to eat pasta with chopsticks, okay, and she was struggling, she couldn't do it, and it was basically trying to make fun of a Chinese person eating pasta. And that was a big blunder because the Chinese government, loads of Chinese companies, Chinese media got really angry. And I think in the end, Dolce & Gabbana, the actual two people, had to make a statement apologizing for the blunder because it was insensitive and culturally offensive. So that was a big blunder. And I'm sure you can find loads of blunders, brand blunders, online if you search. Some of them are pretty funny, actually. Next expression, guys, is Freudian slip. A Freudian slip, or to make a Freudian slip. Freudian, from Freud, Sigmund Freud, the Austrian psychotherapist who is most famous, probably, for conceptualizing the notion of the unconscious. The unconscious, and in fact, a Freudian slip is very much connected to the unconscious because it happens when we speak. And it's usually when we say a wrong word that we didn't want to say, and it reveals, it shows what you're thinking really. So it reveals, it shows what your unconscious is thinking, and you didn't want to say that specific word, so that can be quite embarrassing often. To make a Freudian slip can be very embarrassing. I love you so, so much. I love you too, Lucy. Catherine. So yeah, that's a Freudian slip, guys. Try to avoid those, although you don't have control over Freudian slips. So just accept them as a part of life. Hope it's not too embarrassing. The next phrase is a faux pas. To make a faux pas. Again, to make. Faux pas is a French word which we have borrowed from the French, and we've turned it into English sounding word, which isn't really great. It's not as good as faux pas, but it's what we say, to make a faux pas. It could be worse, actually.
Make a faux pas?
Yeah, it depends where you come from. So to make a faux pas means to make a mistake in public, which is usually quite embarrassing. So you have to be in public in front of people, and it's usually an embarrassing mistake. I'll give you an example from a real friend's story. So this friend of mine went to a party many years ago, and he was there, he didn't know too many people, and he met this girl near the drinks table. And he thought, well, ding dong, okay, this girl, she seems quite nice, let's try and have a little chat and see where it goes. And they start speaking, and then my friend notices in the corner of the room this old guy who was like 60, and everybody there was about 28, 29, 30, early 30s maybe, and this 60-year-old guy was a bit different age. And so my friend says to this girl, "Hey, who invited Grandpa?" And the girl replied, "That's actually my boyfriend." Another example of faux pas is, let's say, the theatre. You go and see Hamlet at the theatre, and it's a beautiful production. The audience is silent, and everybody's waiting for those famous words. And the actor on stage starts to deliver them. To be, or not to be. Question. I would avoid farting in the theatre. Faux pas. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the expressions that we talked about today. And I'll leave you with a last one, because we've talked about mistakes. But also it's important to, well, accept the mistakes that we make. And we should be able to get over the mistakes we make. To get over mistakes. This is a little bonus expression, if you like. To get over mistakes, or to get over something, or even get over someone, means that you accept it and you move on. It doesn't really mean to forget, because I think that you can still remember the mistakes you've made, but still and get over them. That means that you accept them, but you don't allow them, you don't let them stop you from moving forward. Now you have a more useful skill, which is you can describe the mistakes that you make. Maybe you won't correct all the mistakes you make in English, and that is not the point, because we all make them, even native speakers make them. That's not the point. Our goal is to expand our vocabulary as well. And now you can at least describe the mistake you've made. I hope you enjoyed this week's introduction to making mistakes, and go out there and talk about your mistakes, describe them. You have the language to do it. Bye.